Hey guys, today I'm taking you inside the kitchen of one of my favorite restaurants in LA. I can't wait. I hope you love it as much as I do. And also, we're helping you fix some baking blunders from a woman who knows a thing or two about baking. She's the co-founder of Sprinkles Cupcakes, Candace Nelson, and Chris Burrous is taking us to an Italian market that has the best sandwiches. First up, this place truly is my favorite restaurant in Los Angeles, and it's really because of Chef Louis, the head chef at EP&LP. His food is beyond delicious. Take a look. It's a bold statement, but I'm gonna say it. EP&LP is my favorite restaurant in LA. Yay! And that's in large part, because head chef Louis Tikaram is, I think your flavors and your food is genius. It's beautiful.
It's definitely me telling my story of my upbringing, cooking with my grandmother, and where I've worked and where I love to travel. And I have a saying, if it's tasty, it goes on the menu. Being from Fiji and Australia, and in Australia we're so close to Southeast Asia as well. I compare it to Angelino's, that it's pretty much like Mexican cuisine here. Yeah. Every street corner there'll be either Vietnamese or Thai or Cambodian or Indonesian in Sydney, where I started cooking. And that's really what I bring to LA. You've
managed to pull off a place that not only has the most gorgeous rooftop bar and it's very hip and happening, but then you come downstairs for a meal and you knock it out of the park.
Well, my passion, I just love cooking and I love what I do, and I feel kind of almost very selfish that I come to work every day. Oh, what are we going to do, guys? I had this dish, I saw this salmon at the market, I went to the produce, and I just feel very fortunate that we can do that and then put all that passion onto the plate and serve it to customers that really appreciate it.
EP&LP has something to do with the records behind me.
That's right.
Yeah?
So it is extended play and long play, relating back to the old vinyl records, and that was between myself and the owners, we all have a very strong connection to music.
And they're all Australian, by the way.
And then moving to West Hollywood and LA, I feel like we needed to have a homage to the history that's been. So it became, EP&LP was born, and 3 years later.
Here we go. Still my favorite. And let's go cook.
Okay.
What do you say?
Your favorite dishes.
Chef Louis, I had this a few weeks ago and I loved it. It's simple, but it's very light.
It's got great texture, it's got a good amount of spice, but it just combines a meal really well. So I've got some New Zealand whitefish, and I'm gonna tell you all my secrets today.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna put a little bit of fish sauce. So the fish sauce, what the fish sauce will do, it'll season the dish, but it will also help the flour stick to the fish. I'm gonna add it, and this is actually a gluten-free crust we make.
Okay.
So it's potato starch, rice starch, corn starch. Yeah, so it's really great.
It was so light. I don't even want to call it batter, because it wasn't. It was just such a light, crispy fish.
And then we're just gonna add this to the basket. So you can do this at home. It doesn't need to be a big deep fry. You can really shallow fry it in a pan.
And what kind of fish? New Zealand?
So it's actually a fish called hoki.
Oh, okay.
And it's really, I think, in my opinion, it's the best fish and chip fish ever. And then we'll just gently let that fry. So the fish has been frying for a few minutes, and you can see it's starting to turn golden brown. Does that bring you back memories?
Okay, fish is served.
All right, here we go. And we're gonna season it, first of all, with a little bit of Szechuan. So this is kind of this 5 spice. This is Szechuan, cloves. This gives it a nice bite and also really interesting mouthfeel.
Yes.
And then here we've got actually a Japanese spice as well called togarashi, which is lots of chili peppers, sesame seeds. It's even got some hemp seeds in there. And it's such a great color as well. So it just brings such a lively.
It kind of reminds me of the color of what we would have in Old Bay seasoning.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But
that's kind of how I think people relate to it as well.
Yeah.
So then here we go onto the dish.
Do you ever get tired of eating your own food?
Actually, I crave it. And that's how I really, perfect the dish. I think, is this a dish that I would just love to eat? Yeah. This one's so super simple, and it just goes on the menu. Lots of lime on there.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, it's just awesome. In a shared meal, it's got everything you want. It's got a bit of spice, a bit of texture, a bit of flavor, the lime, the acidity.
All right. They're hot, but they're good. Okay, Chef Louis, what's next?
Our top seller, 5-spice sticky spare ribs.
My personal favorite. Here's the thing. You've managed to take these little spare ribs and turn them into pork candy. They taste like candied ribs.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of the menu items have been on from day one, and I think if they ever came off, there'd be a riot.
Outrage.
I know. I'm scared of the day.
So tell us how you do it.
So basically we braise the pork in a master stock, so lots of soy, ginger, star
And just cook it
anise,
way down.
and we cook it all the way down.
Okay.
And then from that liquid, we make a really beautiful caramel with palm sugar.
So the flavors in the caramel are the star anise and the...
Star anise and cassia bark, which is like a cinnamon.
Wow.
Yes.
Hence the candy kind of
Exactly.
flavor, yeah.
And then we have some fried garlic and echalot for texture, some pickled serranos, just to cut through that richness.
Which are pretty spicy, right?
They're kind of, yeah, they got a good heat on them. And then we've got some toasted rice to add a depth and nuttiness, and then some fresh cilantro
That's
on
what
top.
you coated in. I mean,
I'm giving
right?
you all my secrets.
Oh my gosh.
I'm giving you all my secrets.
That's what it is, okay.
They've been braised, and then we crisp fry them to order, and then we just toss them with all the ingredients.
Okay, let's do it.
In there goes crispy garlic and shallot. Our
Look, that's why they're so good. That's ridiculous.
palm sugar caramel of all the cooking liquid of that pork.
When you watch people's faces in the restaurant that have never had that
Oh, this
before,
is a good
what
one.
what
This
face
is a
do
good
they
one.
make?
Especially when it comes to the table and they're like, and then they'll get it with the
Like,
chopsticks
maybe I'll
and
try one.
maybe, and then. From here we just get it all beautifully coated,
Okay.
and then we start to assemble.
This is one of those craveable dishes for you.
This is definitely one of those ones. And then we've got the pickled serranos. So these are there to cut all that richness. And then we actually add a lot of the vinegar as well. And that's kind of what this style of food is all about, balance. If you put something very sweet, then you got to put something very acidic. From there, we just add some toasted rice. And I love cilantro and everything. What do you need? Fork, spoon, chopsticks?
I think fingers, is that?
That's how I was brought
okay?
up. That's how I was brought up.
All right, here we go.
It's the ultimate compliment for a chef.
This little candied nugget.
When you asked me what was the face of the customers who eat that dish,
It's almost not right to do candied little spare ribs.
oh yeah.
So I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna say goodbye to Chef.
Bye. Good to see you.
I will be back probably next week.
Of course.
Yeah.
I know. I have your seat saved. Don't worry.
I love Chef Louis so much, and every time I go to EP and LP, I feel like family. But we're not done with Chef Louis because he's going to teach us how to make one of his famous desserts. And if you want the scoop on that, go to KTLA.com. Coming up, Chris Burrous takes us to an Italian market with the best sandwiches. Plus, I make an orzo dish for Levi, but does he like it? We'll find out. But up next, she is such a delightful person. She's the co-founder of Sprinkles Cupcakes and now Pizzana. Candace Nelson invites us inside of her home, and we find out how to fix some of the biggest baking blunders. That's coming up next. You know, sometimes things happen the way they're meant to in life. Candace Nelson, she's the woman behind Sprinkles Cupcakes. She lost her job after the dot-com boom, but guess what? Now she has a cupcake empire to show for it. I'm with one of my favorite people. I really do love Candace Nelson.
Aww.
I just think you're the loveliest, most down-to-earth, sweet person.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel the same way about you. I feel like you're sunshine.
I can't believe I'm in your house. And if you guys watching are like, Candace Nelson, that name sounds familiar, that's because she is the mastermind behind Sprinkles Cupcakes.
Mastermind.
We've seen you on the Food Network as a judge on Baking Championship. We've seen you so many places, of course, Pizzana, if you've had the chance to go to the pizza place in Brentwood. Busy lady.
Busy. And now a new Netflix show.
Yes, tell me about that. So, Sugar Rush is the name of this show
Yes.
for Netflix, which is a big deal, I would imagine, to have a show that you can now come home and watch your show on Netflix. How cool is that?
I can binge watch my own show.
You can binge watch you.
So Sugar Rush is a dessert competition show, and basically it's 4 teams of professional expert bakers and pastry chefs that are competing through 3 rounds for the chance to win $10,000.
Wow.
The first round is cupcakes, the second round is confections, and the third round is 2-foot cake in either direction. So it has to have some scale to it, and I have to say the talent is really exceptional.
Something interesting that I read about you and your love for baking and maybe where it started. You grew up in Southeast Asia and there weren't a lot of American treats or baked goods. So that's something you would do to kind of get a taste of home.
It's true.
Is that where that developed for you?
I was actually living in Medan, Sumatra, and certainly chocolate chip cookies were not something you could go to the corner store and get or buy, so I had to make them myself. So my mom and I spent hours in the kitchen, you know, looking through her Joy of Baking cookbook, baking American treats like brownies and cupcakes and Rice Krispie treats, you know, all those treats that I loved from home that I couldn't get.
Yeah, for people that aren't familiar with your story, were you in finance?
I was at an investment bank working with technology companies, then I went on to work at an internet company. It was the first .com boom, and then the bust happened, and I was out of a job along with so many people, and I decided to go back to school to do something I really loved to do, which was bake.
Wow. I didn't realize that Sprinkles was the first cupcake shop in the world.
It was the first cupcakes only bake shop.
Really?
Yes, so there were certainly plenty of traditional bakeries out there, some that were very well known for cupcakes, but we were the first bakery to say, guess what? The cupcakes are the star of the show, and kind of create a very modern chic design. Because up to that point, really, cupcakes were sort of
Kitty.
They were like
Birthday
kitty,
party.
or they were sort of doily, grandma's kitchen. They were very kitschy.
When did you know that we're okay? That this worked, this is a concept that people are into, they're excited about?
Well, we had a line, I mean, I can't believe it to this day. We had a line out the door on opening day.
Really?
I think when Oprah called 8 months into our first location and gave us her blessing, that was really the moment where our little storefront became a recognized worldwide brand.
I read that Barbara Streisand sent Oprah your cupcakes.
Yes.
Is that how it happened?
That is exactly how it happened. It wasn't just the power of Oprah, but
those two together
squared, you know, multiplied, was really just sort of a pinch me moment.
This is going to be fun because I think for a lot of us, I like to cook, but baking, it's just a mess. What are the top things that people tend to screw up?
Well, I feel like it doesn't matter whether you're a cook or a baker, everybody has to make whipped cream at some point in their life, right? But there's a fine line between whipped cream and kind of moving into the butter stage. Once you've over whipped it, it's not too late.
Okay, really?
You can save it by adding a little bit of cream, heavy cream.
And here's the thing, it is just heavy cream and sweetener.
Exactly,
That's
all it is, but it's such an ethereal delicacy. So you just add a tablespoon at a time and kind of hand mix it with a whisk, and it will eventually, you'll start to see the air kind of
come back.
How
many people come over to your house expecting really great desserts at every dinner party and every birthday?
There's definitely an expectation here. But I always like to create, you know, I have a cookbook with over 100 beautiful, you know, recipes. I like to create my own desserts from my cookbook or new recipes I'm trying out, and not just, you know, rely on Sprinkles all the time. In
the cookbook, I'd imagine you have a great cake recipe.
Yes, and this actually is the vanilla cupcake recipe that we've translated into a cake here.
But something happened here.
We pulled this cake too early. You think it's done, you don't totally know, and you pull it, and you watch it deflate in front of your eyes. It's too late to get it back in the oven and bake it some more. So here's a quick and easy tip for you. Just cut out the middle, cut off the outside layer, and break it up, and make a little trifle with it.
Yes.
Put some berries, some fresh cream.
The whipped cream that
we've saved. This is something that no one would ever know that you had an issue with your cake.
Gorgeous. Okay, you saved our cake disaster. What about a lemon curd?
So lemon curd is actually quite simple, just in terms
it seems daunting to me.
It can go awry. Because there are whole eggs in here and the whites and the yolks cook at different temperatures, what we've ended up with is kind of a scrambled egg type situation in here, which is no good. You want your lemon curd to be tangy and
mouthfeel
smooth. It's all about the mouthfeel. So listen, just pull out your sieve and push it through your sieve. You're gonna lose a little bit in the process, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be nice and smooth.
And then it's nice, you're right, nice and smooth.
Nice
all the
and
lumps.
smooth. And you know what else is nice in our little trifle is a little lemon curd.
A trifle will really take all the mistakes and create something beautiful. I see ice cream over here. What are we gonna do?
There's nothing worse than reaching for the ice cream and opening the container and seeing those little frosty bits, which
Ice crystals.
indicate freezer burn. Guess what? Your ice cream is still great.
Okay.
It's still totally edible. What I like to do is just scrape off the top, just scrape off those ice crystals. And just taste the ice cream to make sure that it hasn't, you know, the freezer burn taste hasn't seeped in.
Right,
A
yeah.
tip to prevent the freezer burn is once you've scooped it, add a layer of plastic wrap over the ice cream before you add the cap, because that will prevent the air from turning the
Good idea.
soft ice cream into ice crystals. Then what I do is I just like to transform this previously freezer burned butter pecan ice cream into a milkshake.
I don't think I've ever had a butter pecan shake.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Nice. So you've saved your
Cheers.
ice crystals.
Right?
Another cake. This one looks a little too brown.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
definitely a little too brown. This is the exact same cake recipe as our underbaked cake, but clearly this cake has spent a little too long in the sun. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna use a serrated knife to cut off the top, and I have this handy cake turntable which allows the cake to spin and not my body.
That is a good idea.
I can
isn't
kind
it?
of plant myself.
Yeah.
And because this is gonna be kind of tough, we wanna get rid of that.
Okay.
And then because it's been in the oven a little too long, we're gonna just assume it's dry, which it is. You can just kind of tell.
Yeah.
It's usually a very moist cake. And what we're doing is we're just adding some simple syrup. They add, you know, syrup for moisture, for flavor.
Right. You could even flavor that.
You
yeah?
can flavor that. You can infuse it with, you know, citrus, with vanilla, with all sorts of flavors. And then you can frost it like that, and no one will ever know the difference.
Good tips, Candace. This was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
And really, I mean, so much success. 25
Yes, Sprinkles
stores around the world.
Yes.
And you had time to, you know, spend with us this afternoon. We so
Aw,
appreciate it.
always. I love
fun.
you guys. Thank
Love
you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
To our shakes. Don't forget to check out Candace's show on Netflix. It's called Sugar Rush. But if you want to learn more about Candace, what's her favorite workout, what's her favorite cupcake, we did a fun 1-minute rapid style interview with her. And if you want to see more of that, go to KTLA.com. Coming up, Chris Burrous gets to taste one of the most delicious meatball subs. It's an Italian deli here in LA, and it's one of the best. That's coming up. But first, I make an orzo recipe for Levi, but does he like it? That's next. Fresh pasta, handmade rolls, and the best sandwiches. Chris Burrous takes us to a hidden gem in Upland. Take a look.
Got this email from Nancy, says, meet me at Padua in Upland. Every pasta, fresh, handmade, and she loves the huge Padua sandwich. We love huge food. We're here on Arrow Highway. Let's go inside. Nancy, hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What a beautiful gem.
I'm part Italian, I'm not full Italian, but when you walk around, it's like, wow, you know, I need to spend more time here. And they're hiring. I was thinking of working here just so I could eat here.
Hi, welcome to Padua. What can I get you?
I have the Padua Special.
I gotta have that meatball sandwich.
Back in the beautiful open kitchen. My meatball begins with the fresh out of the oven roll, all ground beef meatballs with house-made breadcrumbs mixed in, egg, pecorino romano, garlic, mozzarella, marinara, and some roasted red peppers laid in. Her Padua Special is a belly buster. Mortadella, spicy capicola, dry salami, peppercini, shredded lettuce, ripe Roma tomatoes dressed with balsamic, olive oil, and oregano on made daily, high gluten Italian white rolls. This Italian deli is a feast for all your senses. So pretty, smells so good.
The Padua Special and a meatball.
bread's amazing, and I like it because it's thin. It's not like when you go to the Subway places, the bread.
Yeah.
It's a lot of meat sliced thin. And tons. I mean, look at that. Oh, God.
It's beautiful.
Right. I dream about this sandwich.
All right, I got the classic meatball sandwich. Oh, yes. That's a very nice meatball. It's an all beef meatball. You know, their marinara. That's definitely made here. The meatballs are made here. They're so soft and fresh tasting. That marinara is bright. It's not acidic. The red peppers go great with it. Our total for everything we ate today, $18.62. Nancy, thank you so much for tipping us off to this place. It's beautiful and so tasty.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I'm so glad you called me direct. I was like so nervous.
And thanks for watching Channel
Great,
5.
thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, Chris, that looks so amazing. And speaking of Italian, I made an orzo pasta dish for Levi, but does he like it? Levi, do you want to try some orzo pasta with broccoli, tomatoes, olive oil, parmesan?
Yes.
Okay.
Nom nom.
How is it?
Nom, nom.
You like it? How come? What do you like about it?
I like pasta too. I like little pasta.
Little pastas, like orzo. Cool.
Yum yum.
Levi liked it, and you will too. Go to KTLA.com to find out how easy it is to make that orzo pasta dish. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.